So, today we're tackling a question that seems really simple on the surface, but gets incredibly complicated the more you think about it. What is an emotion, really? All right, to get our heads around this, let's start with something super personal, something that gets right to the heart of our own daily lives. Seriously, just take a second and think about your day so far. How many different emotions have you felt? Maybe you were happy when you woke up, then frustrated in traffic, maybe a little bored in a meeting. See? The list gets long fast. And that's the real puzzle here, isn't it? We all feel emotions all day, every day. They steer our decisions, they color our memories, they pretty much run the show. But if I asked you to actually define what an emotion is, well, it's surprisingly tough. It's a question that has kept thinkers and scientists busy for centuries. The word itself actually gives us a little clue. Emotion comes from an old French word, émouvoir, which literally means to stir up. And that's a fantastic way to think about it. For what we're talking about today, an emotion is this complex thing that's made up of our inner feelings, our body's physical reactions, and what we actually do. So, how do we start to unravel this whole stirred up state? Well, lucky for us, psychologists have come up with a kind of blueprint, a way to break down any feeling into its essential parts. Let's take a look at the anatomy of a feeling. Right, so if we could zoom in on any single emotion, whether it's pure joy or, that feeling of dread on a Sunday night, what would we find? What are the basic building blocks? This is the framework that psychologists came up with. They see every single emotion as this blend of three parts that are all tangled up together: what we think, what our body does, and how we act. They all feed into each other to create the full experience we call a feeling. First up, you've got the cognitive component. This is all the stuff happening in your head: your personal thoughts, your beliefs, how you size up a situation. The classic example is public speaking. For one person, the thought of it is terrifying. For someone else, it's an exciting challenge. The event is the same, but the internal appraisal is totally different, which leads to a totally different emotion. Then there's the physiological component. And this is what's going on inside your body, often completely automatically. It's the pounding heart, the sweaty palms, that rush of adrenaline. This is your body's fight or flight response kicking in, triggered by the alarm systems in your brain. And finally, rounding it all out is the behavioral component. This is the part that everyone else can actually see. It's how you express that internal state. A smile, a frown, maybe your fists clench up or your voice changes. It's the external signal of what's going on inside. Okay, so we have this three-part model, right? The thoughts, the body, the actions. Now, how does that actually help us organize the huge, messy world of all our different emotions? Let's check it out. Well, researchers often like to start with what they call basic emotions. You can think of these as the primary colors of our feelings, like happiness, anger, fear. The idea is that these are hardwired into our biology and are universal, no matter where in the world you're from. But then you have secondary emotions. These are like the millions of different shades you get from mixing those primary colors. They're shaped by our society, our culture, and our own life experiences. A great example is grief. How people experience and express grief can be wildly different from one culture to the next. And just to complete the picture, there is one more category worth mentioning: the self-conscious emotions. This group includes really complex feelings like shame, guilt, and pride. These are interesting because they only seem to show up once we develop a sense of who we are and an awareness of how other people might be judging us. But, this whole scientific approach, it's actually pretty new. For most of history, people have been trying to map our inner worlds, and the way we think about it has changed a lot. Just look at this journey. Back in the 1600s, you had philosophers like René Descartes calling emotions passions of the soul, things that happen to us. Jump ahead a couple hundred years, and Charles Darwin is scientifically studying facial expressions in people and animals as evolutionary tools. And then William James comes along and completely flips the script. He basically said, we don't run from a bear because we're scared. We feel scared because our body is already running. It's just a fascinating evolution of an idea. Okay, so this is all really interesting. But you might be thinking, why does any of this matter? Well, this isn't just some abstract academic debate. Understanding how emotions work has some huge, real-world consequences. I mean, think about it. This research is absolutely crucial for understanding and treating mental health issues. It helps social psychologists explain why groups of people behave the way they do. It's at the core of learning how to resolve conflicts or negotiate better. It can even improve how happy and productive people are at work. From how we raise our kids to how we run our companies, it really matters.
So where does all this leave us? We've seen that every emotion is this incredible mix of what we think, what our body feels, and what our culture teaches us. And that brings up a really fascinating final question to chew on. When it comes to our feelings, who or what is really in the driver's seat?